What is up, fellow humans of the cardboard? Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Got up to pee this morning. Was about to go back to bed. Checked my phone and saw that all this shit got revealed. So we're going over it right now. We have the entire reveal for King's Court, not just the set list, including all reprints, literally everything, but as well as just straight up effects for all of the new cards as well. I don't have all the artworks right next to exactly which card is what, but at least we know what they are doing. There's a lot of stuff here, so I don't want to waste too much time. There's like so many new cards here, or imports, so let's just get cooking, okay? Starting off here, we have Arcana Triumph Joker. We already talked about this, the new boss monster. Level 10 light warrior effect monster. Question mark attack, 2500 defense. If this card is in your hand or grave, you can send a Queen's Knight, King's Knight, and Jack's Knight from hand and or monster zone to grave. Just special summon this card. This card gains 500 attack times the combined number of cards in both players' hands. Also, you can discard one card, then destroy all face-up cards your opponent controls with the same type as the discarded card. Kind of poo, to be honest. Like, I think overall, like, the fact that you have to send all three, and if it was maybe send one, either or, like just send one of it from hand or grave, like all this is just a recurring body that can pop stuff. Like, I guess it can get huge, right? Potentially. But it also relies on your opponent having a big hand, and this isn't a quick effect. If this was a quick effect, it'd be much more interesting, way more interesting, right? Because like a quick Raigeki is actually pretty decent, but it's just it looks like it's just going to be a main phase Raigeki. It's not once per turn, but still. So for me, definitely misses the mark. I do like that it comes back from grave every turn. It just, again, too many resources, man. You need one of all three. Yeah, right. No way. All right, next up we have Joker's Knight. This is the big one here, I think, overall. So he's a level 5 light warrior effect monster, 2000 attack, 1400 defense. You can send one Queen's Knight, King's Knight, or Jack's Knight from deck to grave as cost. Special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, this card's name becomes the sent monster's name until the end phase. During the end phase, if this card is in your grave, you can target one other light warrior monster in grave, shuffle it into the deck, and if you do, add this card to your hand. This card kind of nasty, I'm not gonna lie. This card is actually super interesting. I could easily see this part just being a small subbed-in engine for like a warrior turbo deck. If the deck is just like Isold Turbo, you get to play unexpected dice to turbo out the vanillas, but also you just get to play 3 of this dude who is just a free warrior from hand while Foolish Burling you one of those warriors, and then it's self-sufficient, right? Shuffles him back, adds himself back to hand, so you can do it again guaranteed next turn, assuming it's not like the only copy in your deck and like you top deck it. But really good card. I actually quite like this. Now, one thing you will notice, and I do want to mention this real quick before we keep going, we don't get updated versions for all 3 of the knights. We are going to be using the classic knight cards, which kind of threw me off because when I saw the artwork for this card here, I assumed this was like a retrained Queen's Knight, like a card that always counted as Queen's Knight or something. But that is not the case. I actually believe she is our new Arcana Triumph Joker. It's a woman, which is cool. I'm totally cool. I love the artwork on it. I just the way it looked, I was like, oh, that's just new Queen's Knight. Cool. So we don't get new retrained versions, so we will be using the vanillas, but that's not necessarily always the worst. But cool. Moving on here, we have Imperial Bower. This is a level 4 light warrior effect monster, 1500 attack, 1500 defense. If you control no other monsters, you contribute this card, take 2 different monsters from your deck amongst Queen's Knight, King's Knight, and or Jack's Knight. Either add to your hand or special summon each monster. That's pretty good, actually. I think all things considered, I mean, that's just a 1 card, 2 warriors on the field, 1 card, 2 level 4s on the field. I actually quite like that card a lot. Yeah, I mean, it's just like Regulator, Rescue Rabbit, whatever you want to call it, right? And it's pretty good. Like, it's honestly pretty good. But not much else to say about it. It's just weak to hand traps, but it does have some power to it. It's a +1. Next up, Joker's Straight. This is a normal spell card. Reads as follows: discard 1 card, special summon 1 Queen's Knight from your deck, add 1 King's Knight or Jack's Knight from your deck, then immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon 1 monster. Okay. You can add special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn, except Light Warriors. It's a tough restriction. Not gonna lie, that is a tough restriction, but I understand why it's there, because if it wasn't there, you would literally like activate this card, get 2 warrior bodies on the field, then have no restriction, and that card would be insane. But okay, during the end phase, if this card is in grave, you can target 1 Light Warrior monster in grave, shuffle in the deck, and add this back to your hand. That's that's pretty fucking good. That makes this card like even better. It's definite hand trap bait, but if your opponent has it, you're gonna get to add this back to your hand. Most likely, you put any Light Warrior in grave. Also, one more thing, I'm gonna do some research after this video and see how many Light Warriors there really are that like work in the extract. That might be decent. We'll see. Okay, Face Card Fusion. This is a normal spell card. You can fusion summon 1 Light Warrior Fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material. Okay. If you control a Queen's Knight, King's Knight, or Jack's Knight, you can use 1 monster from your deck as fusion material. That's not bad. But you do have to fusion summon a Light Warrior fusion monster. Again, I don't know how good they are. I know it's obviously probably focusing on the ones that are already out, the Knights ones, and I don't believe any of them are particularly good. So we'll see. Unsearchable fusion card, I believe, here that has to summon a specific kind. I don't know. Next up, we have Thunderspeed Summon. This is a quick play spell. During the main phase or battle phase, immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon a level 10 monster. Or, if you control Queen's Knight, King's Knight, and Jack's Knight, you can apply this effect instead. Add a level 10 non-dark monster with question mark attack from deck to hand. Then, immediately after this effect resolves, you can normal summon a level 10 monster. Interesting. So this is... Mind this is quick a main phase or battle phase. You can just trade up like tribute summon for example, Slifer or Obelisk or Ra, right? I believe that's the whole thing here. This card's appealing to the Egyptian god cards, which is kind of cool. I'm sure there are a couple other level 10s that are interesting to note as well. This deck seems to actually be decent at putting all 3 of those bodies out all at once. A couple of good engine cards that get you there. And this triggers on the opponent's turn, so there's nothing about locking yourself into Light Warriors or anything that conflicts with this. Kind of cool. It's kind of like a quick summon. So yeah, maybe if there's something crazy, but it is specifically something with question mark attack on that second effect. So we'll see. I gotta look more at the targets here. These are like slightly not generic, or slightly generic, but like kind of still specific at the same time. So I gotta go back and look. Next up, we have Joker's Wild, a normal trap card. During the main phase or battle phase, send a spell from deck to grave that specifically lists all 3 of Queen's Knight, King's Knight, and Jack's Knight. This effect becomes that spell effect when that card is activated. During the end phase, if this card's in grave, you can target a Light Warrior, shuffle in the deck, and add this card back to the hand. That's actually a little bit better here. That allows you to do something like this, like Joker's Straight. Just on your opponent's turn, which is actually really good value, right? And then add it back to hand, so you're just doing it every turn. It is specifically spells though, so it's potentially a quick fusion on your opponent's turn, potentially the tribute summon on your opponent's turn. So like a couple cool things going on there. But we'll see how like worthwhile it really is. Court of Cards, continuous trap. If you control no monsters or only control Queen's Knight, King's Knight, and or Jack's Knight, you can special summon 1 Queen's Knight, King's Knight, or Jack's Knight from your hand or grave. Also, you can banish up to 1 each Queen's Knight, King's Knight, and or Jack's Knight from your hand or grave to draw the same number of cards you banished. Kind of a grindy card. It's going to let you like try and draw every turn by banishing those. By banishing those. I don't like that its first effect only lets you reborn them if you only control one of them, because they just don't fucking do anything. They're vanillas essentially on field. I'd like to end on a rank 4, end on something a little more impactful, and then still be able to reborn them for like grindability. You know, have that extra material going into next turn, and then summon it again on the next turn, and summon it again on the next turn. So I don't know. I honestly, yeah, it seems to want to play as like a pure version of the deck, but there's no real win condition in the deck as of now, so it's kind of like tough. At least no like competitive relevant win condition. All right, let's keep moving. We got a ton more stuff. Magnet Induction. This is a new Magnet Warrior card. I'm stoked about this. This is awesome. It's a normal spell. If you control a Magnet Warrior whose original level is 4 or lower, special summon a level 4 lower Magnet Warrior monster straight from the deck with a different name as cards you control. But after this effect resolves, Magnet Warriors and Magnet Warrior monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle or your opponent's card effects. It's pretty good. I mean, it's just a pretty good extender, especially with like the new Magnet Warrior monsters. There's no restriction here. It doesn't lock you into rocks or anything, so this could become an interesting extender for stuff like a weird version with an Emancipator or something. I don't know, but it just summons a Magnet Warrior from deck that triggers the new Electromagnet Warriors effects. All 3 of them will trigger on this, I believe, and they have their effects that trigger on the opponent's turn. So pretty cool. This just helps expedite the deck immensely, right? Definitely nice. Definitely nice. I will take that all day. Hyper Cannon. This is a continuous trap. You must control XZ Dragon Cannon or a fusion monster that lists it as material to activate this card's effects. I believe that does not count as like any of the actual good ABC cards, just the shitty XYZ cards. So cool. So you have 2 effects. You activate which one depending on the whoever's turn it is. If it's your turn, you can target one of your banished unions, place it on the bottom of your deck, and if you do, draw a card. Fine, cool. Just like reset something and draw a card. During your opponent's turn, you can discard any number of cards, then target the same number of cards your opponent controls and destroy them. That's actually pretty good, especially if you're like drawing a card on your turn, then having extra fodder to get pops on your opponent's turn. As a continuous, I think it's pretty good. I just hate that it relied on this and didn't rely on like any ABC piece or XYZ piece. But yeah, I know the semantics would have been a little bit scuffed, but they definitely could have done that if they wanted. But okay. Then we have some reprints, but they put the effects here because we haven't had them in the TCG yet. We have Golden Eyes Idol. This was in one of the OCG sets. It's a pretty good card. Once per turn, quick effect. You can look at your opponent's hand. Also, this card's name becomes Thousand Eyes Idol to the end phase. If it's banished or sent to the grave by card effect, target one effect monster you control and equip that effect monster to an eyes restrict or relinquish monster you control that cannot be normal summoned. And while equipped by this effect, that monster gains attack equal to the equipped monster's attack. Pretty cool. It's like a Pegasus card, but it lets you peek at your opponent's hand, which is really good. Even if you just do a combo where like you summon him at some point, it just activates on your turn or your opponent. So you can just look, just peek real quick, see what you're playing against, and then try and build a board accordingly. Pretty crazy. We have Zolga the Prophet. If you control an Earth Fairy, you can special summon from the hand, then look at up to 5 cards from the top of each player's deck. That's crazy. When a monster that was normal summoned by tributing this card declares an attack, you can banish this card from the grave, destroy that monster, and if you do, inflict 2,000 damage to your opponent. Cool. You know what I mean? Like, I guess you got to pop your own monster, but it does burn for 2,000, so that's cool. F-Zero Utopic Draco Future. Finally, this is a huge one. This is a huge chase card in the set, for sure. He's a rank 0 light warrior, if you don't remember him. 3,000 attack, 2,000 defense. 3 Xyz monsters with the same rank except number monsters. but you're not usually doing that. You're also going to exceed some of this card by using number F0 Utopic Future as material. I think he only takes 2 number monsters to make, so just like 2 exceed monsters, overlay for future, then you overlay for him on top of that. He can't be destroyed by battle or card effects. Nasty. And once returned, when your opponent activates a monster effect, attach a material, negate the activation. Then if the monster is on the field, take control of it. That is permanent. This card's insane. Yeah. This is a big one. This is really, really cool to see. A lot of Exceed decks will want to take advantage of that. Okay, Guilty Gear Freed, the Magical Steel Knight. This is the fusion the OCG's had for a little bit. It's not too crazy. I'm not even going to go through it. He can negate a card that targets him. Great. He takes any 2 warriors with different attributes. And he can make 2 attacks during each battle phase. And if it battles a monster, you can like banish a spell to make him gain his own defense till the end turn. Fine. He's fine. He's not great. He's a super poly target. You want him for super poly, get him for super poly. Crystal Girl. She's a water spellcaster. Actually pretty good. When she's normal or special summon, on the end phase, you can add a level 5 or higher water from deck to hand. Just gets you follow up. It is a +1. And if you control level 5 or higher water and this card's engraved, you can just special summon it, but banish it when it leaves the field. So that's pretty good. Like you could normal summon this, link it off, summon it later in the turn, and then still get the add-on end phase, or you add on end phase and on a following turn you reborn her just as an extra water body. Actually pretty good water card, all things considered. Just a little slower. Tindangle D-holes. What the fuck? All right, flip effect. You can send a spell or trap from your deck to the graveyard. It's pretty cool. That's pretty good. I mean, foolish anything is pretty good. If this card is sent from the hand or deck to the graveyard, you can target a Tindangle monster engraved and special summon it in face down position. Also kind of good. You could just foolish him. A Tindangle link monster that uses card's material can make 3 attacks during each battle phase. Woo! Honestly, pretty cool card. I mean, it's level 5, which is kind of tough, so you can't just like set it. You gotta like tribute set, which is pretty brutal, but if you can get him on the field or get him sent or whatever, then he's pretty good. Rose Princess. This is an import. It's like a rose card. Summon itself if you have no monsters, and if it's summoned that way, it's a tuner, and you can only special summon Rose Princess once per turn. Or you can also discard this card to add White Rose Cloister, which is I think like 2 cards down. Morph King Stygia L or Gel, level 1 Dark Fiend tuner, 1000 attack, 1000 defense. On summon, you can target one other face-up monster. You can add special summon monster to the next turn except synchros, but for the rest of this turn, change this card's level to that target. And if you do, gain life points equal to the target's level times 200. During your main phase, you can special summon a fiend monster with a level lower than this card from your hand. The card's actually pretty good, right? Like pulls a fiend out of the hand, copies another monster's level, and gives yourself a little life point boost. So maybe in time that could come up. Honestly, not a terrible card if you can pull it out like easily, but who knows? You know, whatever. It's cool. White Rose Cloister. This is the card that pairs with the Rose Princess up here. If you control no monster, special summon a Rose, Dragon, or Plant from hand. Again, just helps you like kind of flood the board from hand without normal summoning. You can only use this effect once per turn. During your draw phase, before you draw, you can declare a type, monster, spell, or trap. Reveal the top card if you got it correctly. You can have one level or all level 7 or higher synchro monsters you control gain 1000 attack. That affects like who literally gives a shit. I guess it could help you OTK in certain situations, but for the most part, like that will never matter at all. So it's mainly just like, yeah, Valhalla Hall of the Fallen, but for plants. So fine. Burning Soul, quick play spell. If you control a level 8 or higher synchro, add any card from your graveyard back to your hand, except for Burning Soul. Then immediately after the effect resolves, synchro summon using monsters you control as material. For the rest of this turn, after this card resolves, your opponent cannot target synchro monsters on the field with card effects. Pretty interesting for a quick play spell. I'm curious if you have to synchro summon, like if you don't have the means of synchro summoning on the field currently, can this effect like resolve as a whole, or does it all have to work? You have to have a synchro you can go into. And And if not, like, do you not get to add the card back to hand? Because that's the main effect here. Not a bad card, it takes some setup for sure. Hyper Galaxy, tribute one monster with 2,000 or more attack, except Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, then target a monster your opponent controls with 2,000 or more attack, tribute it, and if you do, special summon a Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon from hand, deck, or grave. It's honestly not the worst, right? It's a quick play, so it's disruption, pulls Galaxy Eyes Photon out of the deck, so it somewhat extends you. I don't know. I don't think it's the worst. I mean, you just put something as simple as what's his face? Galaxy. I guess even like Photon. Oh man, I can't remember their names now. Photon Thrasher works here as the tribute target. What's his name? Soldier, Galaxy Soldier. Like that stuff works pretty good. Like I don't think it's a bad card. Pendulum Transfer. You can target 2 pendulum monsters you control, put them in the pendulum zones. Fine. I think that's not that great. Pendulum Exceed, target 2 pendulum cards in your pendulum zone, special summon them both, negate their effects, then immediately after this effect resolves, Exceed summon a monster using them. When you do, you can treat the level of one of the monsters as the other. So the levels don't even need to match up. You can just make them equal one or the other. That's actually a pretty cool card, right? At the end of like pendulum summoning, you could just use this to pull them both out. And I believe it's searchable because it's a pendulum spell. So kind of cool. That's actually a cool one. Dowsing Fusion. You can summon a fusion monster from the extra by banishing materials listed on it from your graveyard. Okay. Only pendulum monsters can use this fusion material for this card's effect. That sucks. That sucks. Most pendulum decks don't even end up putting pendulum monsters in grave. So, although I don't think it's the worst thing in the world, maybe there's like a way to just like put 2 pendulums in grave and then use like Verte Anaconda to make a pretty good fusion. That's the best I can think of. And the last card here is Eternal Bond. It's another Photon card. Normal Trap. Target any number of Photon monsters in grave. Special summon them, but their effects are negated. Wow, Soul Charge. During your main phase, you can banish this card from grave. Then target a Photon monster your opponent controls. What? Take control of it. And if you do, its attack for the rest of this turn becomes the combined attack of all Photon monsters you currently control. Also, you could have to declare attacks this turn, except with that monster. So, I guess it's fine. I guess it's still just a soul charge on your opponent's end phase. Just summon a ton of monsters back, keep yourself from getting OTK'd, maybe go into your next turn with 4 or 5 monsters on the field. Actually, not bad at all. I just don't like that it negates their effects, obviously, but that makes sense why. It's very powerful. And this one's weird. This second effect will not come up very often. It's only if your opponent controls a Photon monster. Not expecting that to happen all too often. Okay, moving into the reprints now. We got a ton here. 25 cards that are new, which is really nice. Queen's Knight, King's Knight, Jack's Knight, of course. The other old knights we had, Arcana Knight Joker and Arcana Extra Joker. Fine. Gravekeeper Spy, Majestic Dragon, Stardust Shalong, Rescue Rabbit's a weird one. A couple of ZW monsters. That's actually nice to see for the Utopia stuff because I think some of the Zexal weapons or the Zexal ZS for Zexal Sword, I can't remember. Have only been printed like once ever, so they're actually kind of a pain to get a hold of. Scrap Twin, Cloud Castle, Baxia, Xiaofeng, actually low-key like decent reprints. Number 39, Utopia. Evelzar Dolka, not a bad reprint here. That card's actually slowly going up, but dinosaurs are a lot worse right now. Zen Mayo, Utopia Ray, Ptolemy M7, ZW Leo Arms. That is one of the Zexal weapons that has not been printed for a long time. Number 49, Fortune Tune. That card's actually worth like a little pretty penny. Not like crazy expensive, but just being a Zeus abuser like has gone up, so that's nice to see that there. F-Zero, it's nice to have for the new dragon guy. Rhoda, Infinite Cards, The Warrior Returning Alive, Ties of the Brethren, Pot of Duality, Unexpected Die. Here we go. World Legacy Guard Dragon, that's a really good one. This card needed one more reprint. I think like all copies of it were like $10 plus, so hopefully this will help bring that down. And this is the other big one, Lightning Storm, as another big chase card here. Finishing up Rivalry Warlords, Converging Wishes, and then the Wicked, Dreadroot, Avatar, and Eraser. These cards are actually all worth a couple bucks, so that's, I guess, nice for people who want to collect them but don't want to pay more for them. And I guess overall, looking at it as like a set construction thing, I think like a couple of the Joker's Night cards are interesting, like specifically him himself. I think Imperial Bower is interesting because he like tributes to summon 2 warriors with no restriction on it, so it's pretty good. It's like Rescue Rabbit for warriors. Play Gamma with it, play whatever with it, and like you can you know, do some pretty powerful stuff there. Obviously this is a huge chase card. Number F-Zero, Utopic Draco Future. I think Goldeneye's Idol could be interesting for some people if they think they can really take advantage of it and just like peep the opponent's hand. That's kind of cool. Crystal Growth was nice for water decks. Gearfried is a nice super poly target for sure. Rose Princess and White Rose Cloister for plant decks are pretty nice. And yeah, that's mainly the bigger stuff. A couple photon cards are interesting. And then for the reprints, I think it really comes down to like a couple of the Zexal weapons being interesting. And then you have like Lightning Storm and Guard Dragon. It's really going to be like the chase cards are definitely like Lightning Storm and F-Zero what is it? Dragnar? What's his name? Holy shit. Utopic Draco Future. And that's enough, right? Like that's cool. Is this set crazy? No. I know I talked about this earlier and like a couple months ago saying that this set does have the potential to be something crazy. But I don't think overall the night cards are as good as they could have been, but I think they're decent for what they are. I think they're pretty powerful considering you have to play a bunch of vanillas in your deck, so that's worth something. Doesn't use the normal summon, like rarely at all, except for the one monster that gets you 2 bodies. Not bad. But yeah, like kind of cool. We'll see what it can be splashed in. We'll see if it can be splashed in like Isolde base decks or whatever as like actually a pretty good engine to help extend you, but we'll just have to keep tabs on it. It's pretty cool though. I'm definitely intrigued for sure. So let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think. I think this set's actually pretty cool. Definitely looking forward to a couple things here. If Lightning Storm really drops, if Guard Dragon drops, those are 2 cards I've been looking to pick up. As well as hopefully Draco not being $1 million, but he'll still probably be $1 million. Fuck. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'm sorry this video was so long. We literally read 25 cards because that's how many like new cards got revealed essentially. Well, some of them are imports, but still that's fine. So yeah, thank you again. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and peace.